It's been almost 4 years since we got our hands on the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and those 5 fateful words, "the unknown journey will continue," have set imaginations wild during that time. Square Enix, for their part, have been only too happy to indulge, and this has been stoked by the release of several properties relating to the Final Fantasy VII Remake project. So far, we've had the expanded Intergrade version of Remake on the PlayStation 5, which came packed with episode Intermission, an updated version of the PSP game Crisis Core, new mobile games in The First Soldier and Ever Crisis, and the director's cut of Advent Children will even see a limited release in select cinemas. Everything has been building up to the release of Rebirth, but the agonizing wait is almost over, and we are hyped beyond belief. So throughout this video, we're going to run through 7 reasons why you should also be hyped if for whatever reason you aren't already. Be mindful though, as there may be Remake spoilers ahead. It goes without saying that Remake made some incredibly bold decisions, not least with the ending. The sight of Zack Fair still alive and carrying Cloud on the way to Midgar made jaws hit the floor around the world, because that wasn't meant to happen, at least not according to the original game. Zack's continued presence within the story has since been confirmed via multiple sources, including the post-credits scene in Intermission, appearances in Rebirth trailers, and the tease of a whole Zack-centered episode in the upcoming game. He's even on display in the cover art alongside Cloud and Sephiroth, highlighting his wider importance. But what does all this mean for events to come? Some of the more popular theories have centered around alternate timelines, which only raises more questions. For example, is there one true timeline? What do the Whispers have to do with it? Will the continuity need to be resolved by the characters? And if we accept that 2 timelines can exist simultaneously, why not more? And what could happen within those other realities? With endless possibilities comes endless speculation, and we can't wait to see where Rebirth is going with this. Zack's presence could also have some huge implications for other characters, particularly Cloud Strife and Aerith Gainsborough. Of course, knowing that the story can change one thing means that Rebirth could change anything. And if your mind went straight to that scene from the original game, then you're by no means alone. The death of a main character right in the middle of the game was something we weren't used to seeing back then. But if fate is no longer set in stone, does Rebirth really have to end this way? We know that Part 2 is set to conclude in the Forgotten Capital, and while the game's creators have been very careful not to reveal the fates of any particular characters, we've had some very strong hints that death will still be a major theme in Rebirth. In the words of creative director Tetsuya Nomura, "I believe that loss is something that happens unexpectedly, and it's not something so dramatic or drawn out, but is something in which a person that you have just conversed with is suddenly gone, and is never going to come back. I believe that the person who dies should not return in this title, and that is what we did with the original." As Remake concluded with Cloud and the gang preparing to leave the city of Midgar, Rebirth will allow players to explore the expansive and beautiful world with a high degree of freedom. And from what we've seen so far, that's no exaggeration. The world of Final Fantasy VII looks bigger, bolder, and more spectacular than ever before, and we can't wait to see what lies on the road ahead. While this isn't technically a fully open world in the strictest sense, traversal in Rebirth is much more liberating than it was in Remake. The open road has lots to discover, with fiends to take down and side quests aplenty. And one interesting feature is actually the new item transmuter, which introduces crafting mechanics and gives players all the more reason to hunt down those rare items in the field. And what better way to explore this rich and expanded world than on top of a chocobo? Such is the size of the map that riding a chocobo is almost a necessity, and it's great to see that no party member will be left out of this, including Red 13. Sadly, there's no breeding mechanics this time around, but you will encounter lots of different types of chocobos in the wild, such as the Black Mountain Chocobo and the Blue Sky Chocobo. You can even dress up your trusty steed in a matching set of armor, with helmets, breastplates, and greaves all available in the Chocobo Boutique. As well as getting reacquainted with our fine feathered friends, Rebirth will also offer a variety of other ways to explore the world. Some of these vehicles will be familiar to fans of the original, such as the Boggy, which is good for traversing sandy ground, and the Tiny Bronco, Sid Highwind's biplane turned boat that can make its way across shallow waters. One of the most hotly anticipated parts of Rebirth is the introduction of new playable characters. The revised action-packed combat of Remake was extremely well received by fans. New mechanics felt slick and stylish, whilst each character still felt unique, and their combat styles felt true to their personalities. Now with Rebirth, we'll be treated to a whole host of new characters, and we can't wait to see them in action. Red 13 appeared as a guest character during Remake, but but he's now joining the party full time. As the first non-human character we get to control, Red 13 feels every bit as unique as his character design, and he's shaping up to be a real beast in battle. One standout feature is his new Vengeance gauge, which charges while guarding and can be activated at any time to unleash a frenzy of brutal strikes. To keep Red 13 in the fray even longer, Vengeance mode also unlocks the ability Siphon Fang, which allows him to drain HP from enemies. Next up is Wutai's finest ninja and master thief, Yuffie. Having made her remake debut in episode Intermission, Yuffie also introduced synergy attacks to the mix, and with her versatile range of attacks and abilities, including throwing stars, magic infusions and doppelgangers, Yuffie is a welcome addition to the party with plenty of tricks up her sleeve. Completing the main party lineup is everyone's favourite character from the original game, Cait Sith. But jokes aside, it looks like Cait Sith is set to pack a real wallop in battle with a unique style that utilises his feline agility and lets him switch things up by calling in his big, robotic Moogle for some powerful attacks. When his Moogle meter is filled, he's also able to provide buffs to the party, making him an excellent addition in terms of support, and the element of luck in Cait Sith's attacks should certainly keep things interesting. It's also been confirmed that both Sephiroth and Zack will be playable, and with new summons and 2 new guest characters in Sid Highwind and Vincent Valentine, this is definitely a case of the more the merrier. Now, seeing Final Fantasy VII going through its massive technical overhaul has been impressive to say the least. But while we're still in awe at the visual upgrades, some fans have expressed concern that the pivot towards realism means there's less room for wackiness. Well, fear not, because Rebirth looks set to integrate a multitude of new minigames while restoring many of those lovable zany moments from the original game. Amongst the new ones we've seen so far are a piano-themed game and a new, in-depth card game known as Queen's Blood. From what we've heard so far, this card game involves a good deal of strategic thinking, as you challenge new opponents and build your deck. And at higher levels, the game is said to get particularly intense. In terms of minigames that will be returning, well, a lot of focus has been placed around the Junon parade scene. This scene will be returning in Rebirth, only it's been completely revamped, with Cloud now leading the parade and able to give out commands and change formation. This time, he's also able to recruit different soldiers to perform alongside him, and the minigame will change depending on who is recruited. And of course, once we get to the Gold Saucer, we'll find ourselves an entire bounty of minigames in the Wonder Square. This includes many old favourites such as the ever-popular Chocobo Racing and the high-octane motorcycle chase sequence replicated in the form of the G-Bike. Fans of the old snowboarding game, however, will have to be patient and wait until Part 3, presumably until the machine in the arcade has been repaired. But to keep us busy in the meantime, we also have a new 3D battler, which replicates the graphics from the original PlayStation 1 game in virtual form. Sticking with the Gold Saucer, anyone who's played the original Final Fantasy will recall a very special interactive sequence in which one of the party members would knock on Cloud's door, and the two of them would hit the town to spend a magical evening together. After gallivanting around the event square, Cloud and his companion would then hitch a ride on a gondola, taking in the sights of the Gold Saucer, complete with a bird's eye view of the fireworks. Depending on the player's social interactions up until that point, Cloud could step out with Aerith, Tifa, Yuffie, or even go on an ever so slightly awkward date with Barrett. In Rebirth, date night is back, and it's bigger than ever. The game's new affinity system plays a huge role in this, with side quests and character interactions helping to determine who Cloud will hang out with. Plus, the choices you make during the date will also determine how the evening plays out. Part of the event takes things to some new theatrical levels, with Cloud and his companion invited to participate in a musical called Loveless. In universe, Loveless is an epic poem depicting a heroic battle between a tyrannical dragon king and a gripping romance between the hero and Princess Rosa. If you've played Crisis Core, you'll know that the poem's ending was unknown, and that the game's antagonist was just a little bit obsessed with it. In Rebirth, the script of Loveless is set to change according to Cloud's bonds with the other party members, meaning that no two playthroughs will be quite the same. The music of Final Fantasy is some of the most celebrated in all of video games, and the score of Final Fantasy VII is often regarded as some of the greatest music that the franchise has ever produced. While the original soundtrack helped to push boundaries in terms of 90s gaming, Rebirth's version will have a lot to live up to. But with those timeless melodies still so strong after all these years, invoking a myriad of feelings with just a few musical notes, we're sure we won't be disappointed. With so many memorable themes from the original part of this journey, it's honestly hard to say which pieces of music we're looking forward to hearing the most, because Final Fantasy VII had it all. From the jolly carnival sound of the Gold Saucer to the desolate, lonely tones of the desert wasteland outside Corel Prison. from the proud, bombastic fanfare of the Junon Parade to the primal beats and mystical melody of Cosmo Canyon. And of course, who could forget that stunning overworld theme that seemed to embody all the hopes, fears, and sense of adventure as you took your first steps beyond the boundaries of Midgar. In order to commemorate the release of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Square Enix will be releasing carefully selected tracks from the game this April across a grand total of 7 discs, or 8 discs should you opt for the special edition. The sheer volume of music included in this release makes Rebirth's soundtrack sound very promising indeed. And just as in Remake, Rebirth will feature an original song called No Promises to Keep. It's written by Uematsu and was performed live at the Game Awards. That then brings us on to Sephiroth. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth sees the return of Sephiroth, elite soldier, madman on a quest for godhood, and one of the greatest antagonists in the world of video games. This time, however, players will get the opportunity to play as the One-Winged Angel himself, and this is something we're seriously looking forward to. Anyone who played the original Final Fantasy VII will remember how it felt playing through the Nibelheim incident and getting just a small taste of Sephiroth's immense power as he battled by your side. This also raised the stakes towards the end of the game, as we had first-hand knowledge of just how powerful he was. So far, we've seen Sephiroth battling alongside Cloud in Nibelheim, and he's every bit the formidable fighter you'd expect. And with his retaliation stance, parries, and variety of finishes, we see that Sephiroth does it all with style. But what will be Sephiroth's role in this new story? If we know anything at all about Rebirth, it's that we're in uncharted territory in terms of the narrative, and this could even affect the development of Sephiroth as a character. Even if he's still clearly the main antagonist of the story, his goals may be slightly different this time around, as Sephiroth might know more than we realise about the timeline and the Whispers. Again, in Rebirth, nothing is certain, not even the things we think we've seen. These visions could be real events, flashbacks, or just outright illusions. Once we factor in elements like false memories or the alien abilities of Jenova, it becomes hard to trust that anything we see is true. Will the Nibelheim incident play out differently? Are we dealing with unreliable narrators with corrupted memories? What lies ahead remains a mystery, but Sephiroth will be central to everything. With that though, thanks for watching the video. Be sure to let us know how excited you are about Rebirth in this moment in the comments below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel, as we have so much content planned for the next few weeks. Alright everyone, with that, this is Daryl signing out. As always, I'd like to give a big thank you to all of our Patreon and YouTube membership supporters, especially Benjamin Snow, The Livestream, Gregory, Justin Dent, and Sukan DDK or Super Special Onion Knight supporters, and of course a big thank you to everyone for watching this video. I'll see you all again soon for more Final Fantasy goodness.